Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. I've been trying to get my phones charged. The battery just on both my phones, even my new one, drained. It's been plugged in for 2 hours and I have a whopping 25% or something. I don't know. I think I'm using the phone while it's plugged in. That might be an issue. It's nothing paranormal. It's just me trying to make my phone work overtime again. We are at 98 on the Ascension symptoms scale today. So we're still pretty up there, getting blasted by so much energy still. I took Doreen's advice, Master Doreen, who I channeled last night in my show. And as soon as I finished the show and published it, I was burning up. I was so hot and sweaty. And I just decided to take a couple deep breaths, relax, release, and let go of my resistance. And I put myself in a state of acceptance of everything. And I imagined packets of light going into my body and fixing everything. And I went back to a normal temperature. I mean, it only took 5 minutes. So I thought that was maybe the most awesome advice I've heard in a long time in regards to the Ascension. Every time I started to feel hot all day today, I would just take a couple of minutes, close my eyes, accept the information, and I'd go immediately back to a normal temperature. So whereas I was thinking all this was just a bunch of hot flashes and I'm in early menopause, that's not at all the case, because otherwise you can't stop a hot flash with, a deep breath and closing your eyes, right? Right? I don't know. I mean, my period stopped a couple years ago, but many light workers said that was going to be happening. And I keep asking my higher guidance, am I in menopause? Am I early menopause? Do I have a health issue I need to address? And I again and again and again keep getting the same answer over and over. You're in Ascension. You've already passed, that part. And basically from now on, women can control whether or not they breed. So you don't need a period since you don't want to breed. But if you wanted to breed, I guess the periods would start. Which begs the question, I've had tubal ligation surgery and cannot get pregnant. Was that healed? I kind of need to know, right? There's a lot of weird reproductive questions I've got lately. It's very, very weird. So I honestly don't know. I can't answer the questions to it because I don't truly know. I probably need to see a doctor. When I come back, I plan on seeing a doctor to go, maybe we ought to check this out. I mean, maybe I'm missing a vitamin or a mineral. And maybe I'm crazy and my higher guidance didn't tell me that. But if that's true, then how come Aluna Ash mentioned that in her podcast a year ago? That women are going to stop having their period. And I think I might have heard it from Lisa Transcendence Brown. This other lady that I now no longer follow has mentioned her periods had been heavier, which was weird, but then she went into her very negative state. So I think she's not really, I think she's doing the false ascension thing and she's not aware of it yet. Hopefully she'll figure it out and come out of that weird tailspin she was in a few weeks ago. But that lady I complained about, remember about a week ago, she did complain about having super heavy periods, whereas other people were saying, you know, how weird is it that we just don't have periods anymore? And some of the women were in their 30s, so it didn't make sense. I don't know. Sorry, guys, for the girl talk or the woman talk. Girls don't have their periods. Because the minute you have it, you became a woman. I think, right? Isn't that what they told us? And then somehow miraculously, the first time you have sex, bum, 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 girl, you'll be a woman soon. Did you remember that song? What? Wait a minute. Is he talking about her having her period? Or is he talking about her having sex with him? That song has always been super awkward for me when I heard it. But now I'm like kind of putting more things together. Oh my God. So, all right, I'm going to read to you guys the Schumann resonance scale. All right, this is actually pretty exciting because, yeah, we actually have scientific evidence to back up how we're feeling. At 13 o'clock UTC time, it says, the calm did not last long. At 23 UTC yesterday, the movement started again with 2 quote-unquote introductory peaks. For only $9.99, we'll give you introductory peaks. Just above 20 hertz. What appears to be a powerful activity so far began at 6 UTC with 20 hertz again, and then passed at 35 hertz at 7:45 a.m. and to what for now is the strongest peak at 55 hertz at 10 a.m. UTC. Well, that's pretty cool. Then it says 1700 o'clock report. 4 hours later, they write, the 55 hertz peak reported previously was followed by another at 52 hertz at 11 UTC. After this last, the amplitude quickly returned to normal values. So cool, 55. I can't drive 55. Oh, was that Sammy Hagar? That was like literally the one line of the one song that they used over and over and over again when he played at the University of North Dakota back in the 1980s when I was in high school. And for some reason, that one line of that one song, I don't really know much about his music, but I know that line. Because that was a year before they put out a commercial about motorcycles that I thought was one of the most clever radio ads ever, because it was using these men's voices to mimic the sound of the motorcycle they were talking about. And it was like, hun da 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 da. And yama ha. And I'm like, that was like some of the most clever advertising ever. And for some reason, I Can't Drive 55 stuck in my mind and that. So when I think of radio in Grand Forks, North Dakota, those are like literally the two ads that always come to my mind. And it's weird that it's ads that come to my mind and not other things. But I don't know. I did a research study once on how people were feeling about religion, but I waited till the last freaking minute, and all my friends were drunk when I was trying to do the paper, and they didn't understand the questions. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to interview like 20 people. So after I interviewed like my mom and my stepdad and my drunken friends, I called every radio station in 100-mile radius and talked to the DJs at like 3:00 in the morning. That's the only other thing I remember about radio stations in Grand Forks, is I asked if they believed in God and what did they actually believe. I mean, this is going back like, I don't know, 38 years ago. Or no, 28 years ago. No, I don't know. How old am I? 50. And I was 18. So yeah, 32 years ago. I interviewed complete strangers that happen to work at radio stations, and they each asked me, why are you calling us? Why are you calling me? I'm like, well, you're up, aren't you? I'm trying to get my paper done. It's 3 a.m. They're like, are you specifically targeting radio DJs? I'm all, no, I'm specifically targeting people that are awake and bored as you know what. See, I've been at this whole thing a long time. I have been really interested in spiritual stuff a long time. And what's weird is I've been thinking about Art Bell for days and days and days. In fact, this lady contacted me about my podcast. She's in Jamaica, and she's in the process of creating her own podcast, which will help people get over massive amounts of emotional pain, because she has a lot of pain and she's working through it. And she's trying to find all the different ways in which people work through pain. And I thought, what a beautiful idea for a podcast. And she's got a beautiful voice. And someone had criticized her and said, well, you sound too childish to be a podcaster. And, you know, who the hell you think you are? Just give it up already. And people are like really down talking her. And she's surrounded by a lot of negative people, and also jealous people. And so I was telling her, you know, when I started telling my friends about my podcast, a couple said, yeah, I'll listen to it. And then they never did for a long time. And then one guy said, I'm going to listen to it immediately. He was like super, super sweet. And then he listened to it. And he said, to be honest, I was only able to listen to about 20 minutes of it because I'm, you know, super, super busy with my life. I've got a family. I've got a wife, you know. It's like, this guy's in retirement, dude. It's like, I don't know. I know you don't have a job. Like, what are you really doing that you couldn't listen to one episode for like 1 hour? In fact, the one he picked was like 46 minutes or something. So he listened to half of it and then, I couldn't really. And it's okay that it wasn't his deal. You know, he's a Christian and fully Christian, and some of my stuff is controversial for people that are Christian, and I understand that, and I'm okay with his honesty about that. It's like, he's like, well, it's not really my deal. Like, I didn't really think it was your bag. It's cool. It doesn't have to be. I'm grateful that you even listened, you know, thank you. And it was nice. It was super honest. But then when he said, well, I think honestly, though, most of your episodes are over an hour long and nobody's going to really be interested in listening to it. So you might want to, you know, narrow it down back again to like maybe 30 minutes or something. I'm like, okay, well, thank you. I'll take that into consideration. And I came home and of course, you know, wondered and was a little upset by it. Not at him. He's a sweetheart. And, you know, I appreciate his input, but I thought about it a lot. And I have tried to limit every single episode since he told me that, actually. And I've maybe limited my episodes by 10 minutes or something, maybe 5. And it is what it is. It just seems to be the natural length for me to make a podcast, is around an hour to an hour and a half. And I started thinking about it, like really deeply thinking about it. And then I realized, you know what? Art Bell started Coast to Coast AM, I don't know, in the 80s, the 70s. And he just passed away, God rest his soul, a couple years ago. Or like a year ago, maybe. No, it was last year, before my son left. It's like, yeah, like a year and a half ago. I mean, we were so upset that we downloaded a Ghost Communicator MVP onto my phone, and we sat and we talked to Art Bell because he came through on the EVP. He was so excited because he said, if ever I go, if ever you can, whoever you are, I want to prove life is real beyond where we are. And we had him on not MVP. He's my MVP, my most valuable player. EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. I downloaded the app, the Ghost Communicator, and heard Art's voice talking directly to me. And we were crying. We're like, we can't believe you're gone, Art. Oh my God. We love you so much. And you know what he said? Something he would have normally said. We both heard it. We looked at each other shocked. He said, you're so kind. Thank you for that. Really, it means a lot. And we were like, oh my God, that's really Art Bell. But I've been thinking a lot about him. And this guy, he had his show started every night at 10 o'clock. And this was before the internet, before people even had cell phones. People had those giant ass cell phones that were like bigger than their heads and cost like $100 a minute or something insane. We go back to watching like early 80s movies, and it's like the rich Wall Street guy with this phone bigger than his head and the antenna. It's so insane. Technology. And that was like so cool back then. But also the boom boxes and the roller skates, that's a whole nother ball game. But oh my God, these movies make me laugh so hard now. But we were so cool, and now we look back, we're like, oh my God, that's so weird. But back in the day, Art Bell, he started his show at 10 o'clock at night. And I think I remember him saying that people told him, you're never going to make it. Who's up at 10 at night? People have to work. People are going to sleep. Well, he became syndicated around the world, and he was the #1 talk show host in the whole frickin' world for like 40 or 50 years. I don't even know how long. I've got to look it up. But he was #1, and he started at 10 o'clock at night. And he went until 2 o'clock in the morning. And people were missing a lot of work and a lot of sleep. People would move their lives and their schedules around his show. Now, I'm not comparing myself at all, not even a minuscule little bit to his show. And you guys are more than welcome to catch up on the weekends and listen for free. Art had it so that he recorded every show and you could pay for it later. You have to pay a subscription fee, $20, $25. And then he had sponsors, and he had sponsors around the world, but he didn't make a lot of money. He was just a very humble guy. And the money he did make, he spent it on his big toys, And the last toy he bought was a drone. And he had a video of the drone going up and looking back at him and going into the clouds. And that was like literally the last thing he did right before he died. It's like so perfect. It was so perfect. He died of a sudden, like he took some medicine that interacted with each other and it killed him. It was just like such a quick, like, what the hell? I feel weird. He went into the hospital. He goes, I don't at all feel good. And then all of a sudden that was it. Next day he was dead. He died in the night. God rest him. God rest his soul. But I was thinking about this, and this lady was saying, well, they were complaining about this. I'm like, well, people complained to me about the length of the time, but if Art Bell's was for 4 hours and mine's only 90 minutes, I don't think I'm doing it too long. But my other good friend, Peter Luigi, just told me, I'm grateful I just said this yesterday. I'm grateful your show is so long, sister, because, honestly, I like it. It's relaxing. Your voice is great. And I love to hear you and I miss you. Peter Luigi and I, we would take my kids out like he had a swimming pool at his place. He lives like in a complex with a lot of people, and there's a swimming pool there. And we'd go swimming sometimes. We'd go out occasionally, like for ice cream or whatever. He and I had lunches all the time at his best friend Henry's restaurant. It was like half Chinese, half Japanese restaurant. And when I say half, literally you walk in and the first half of the restaurant is all Japanese style. And then and that was because his mother was Japanese. And then you go over like a little bridge that they called the Friendship Bridge. And underneath the Friendship Bridge was a koi pond. And after you cross over to the Friendship Bridge, the whole restaurant was Chinese. Or no, it was opposite. It was like Chinese and then Japanese. And that was because his father was Chinese. And I'm like, that is one of the coolest restaurants that I've ever been to. And they will say, you could order Chinese or Japanese food here. Either way. I mean, you could get the best tempura or sushi or like the best Chinese in the whole wide world. And they've been there, God, I think it's going on like 60 years. He ended up marrying a woman whose family had their Chinese restaurant for like 100 years in that area. I'm like, that is like the coolest thing ever. But we used to go to this restaurant, and hey, Peter, I know you're going to listen to this episode and you're going to like smile so big. But some of my best memories literally was hanging out with Peter, hanging out with Henry. And sometimes I would want to go into the tatami room because I'd want to eat a lot, and they would shut the doors and Henry would come in and he would have his break, and we would just talk and laugh and just, sake. We would drink sake. And Henry, his dream was, even though he ran a restaurant, was to have to be a masseuse. So he would massage my hands or my feet while we talked. And it was just sweet. And then he'd be like, oh, we're working on a new dish. Here's this Chinese food. And just great and beautiful memories. And so I'm glad that, at least my voice can provide some kind of comfort and friendship from literally a whole continent away. And I'm so happy that we're doing all this over the internet. Internet radio is amazing and it's marvelous. And I'm grateful I'm in syndication, and it only took me a couple months. Usually a radio show on a radio station will only be heard within like 100 miles or 50 miles, depending on literally the size of the antenna. And then they have to sell it to the next station over, and you need an agent or a manager to do it. And it's like so intense. Like Art Bell scraped and scrapped his way up the pile of shows to literally be the number one talk show in the world talking about bizarre crap. paranormal witches, demons, just weird conspiracy theories, people that wear tinfoil hats, and my show is pretty much the same as far as the weirdness factor and the paranormal factor and the bizarre stories. And I'm trying to follow in his footsteps a little bit. I'm not nearly as skeptical as he was, and I don't interview as many people as he did, and my show's only an hour and a half long at most. And, but he is my idol, and if I was going to model my life after anybody, it's dear old Art, who I love with all my heart. He was an amazing human, and I always wanted to be interviewed by him, and I actually spoke to him on the phone a couple times. And before he died, when he did start an internet radio show, and I ended up writing the news for him, and not all the news. He had a team. He had like 20 of us, and we even had a writers group on Facebook for a while, just a closed private group between all of us, and we talked about what stories we're working on. It was really fun. And Amy, I can't remember the name of her podcast now, but she does more of a hard-hitting, weird news, paranormal news type of show. And she's really good. Her voice is amazing. She was so awesome. But she was our editor, and she was in charge of all this because she had been in radio herself, like actual radio on the radio, not like internet only. And I don't know, it was just good times. I mean, back when I lived in Detroit, I started working for Art Bell, and I was being paid for my news stories, and I got to, unfortunately, announce the death of my friend Jim, and I also got to announce the death of another man that I knew who was in charge of MUFON back when I was a MUFON field investigator and researcher. And I'd taken the test, I'd taken all the stuff to be a researcher, so pretty much I wanted to be Scully when I grew up. I did all that, and it's like weird. I was just at the right place at the right time to write the obituaries for two people that I loved very much. Jim O'Connell was the founder of the TV show Experiencers, which never really got to air because right when they're getting everything lined up, he died of mysterious circumstances. And his executive producer and I are still great friends, and he and I had become really good friends, and he was going to interview me about my abduction experiences, which I've talked about on my show now. Still getting the word and the message out of that, But life is really strange. I don't know. I'm trying so hard to do this podcast, and my numbers are growing. So thank you guys for spreading the word and telling your family and friends that are every bit as weird as we are to hear the show. I mean, I'm really grateful for it. I mean, we are in the middle of the most insane part of humanity where we are moving up to another dimension. It just barely sounds real, and a lot of us are barely keeping our you-know-what together, and we all have to stick together. Hashtag Soul Tribe, hashtag Soul Family, and that's how it is. And it's hard, man. It is hard to find people with information that's similar to the information you've got, like where you could actually get together and have a conversation about those things, And my youngest kid just found, this is so amazing. He found a guy who's just a few years older than him, who has a degree in psychology, and they're both interested in magic and the same stuff. And this guy's becoming his best friend quickly. And we've lived here like over a year and a half now. And you know how hard it is to find someone like that anywhere in the world. And my son just happens to find a guy that he could talk to, mostly in Spanish, but my son had to learn Spanish, and we had to live here. And this guy just moved here not that long ago, and they're out. They went out to the river tonight, and they're lighting a candle so that they could sit together in silence and focus on positive energy and this ascension. I'm like, oh my God, this from my kid who a year ago thought I was part of a damn cult, and would I please stop watching those crazy YouTube videos already? I mean, he would make up songs to make fun of me and rap songs about how I'm out of my freaking mind. And he would be laughing. He's a comedian too. He is a Heyoka shaman. And he didn't know, and now he knows. And he's like, I'm so excited about my spirituality and the way I'm learning about my internal magic and my genetic, my hereditary witchcraft that just runs in our blood, and it's so pure. That energy is flowing through us, and we're there. He's like, I feel so free. And he's like, today he put on this necklace that he had charged with positive energy, and it gave him like kind of it was a shock, but not in a bad way. It was like a rush of energy. And he's like, oh my gosh, like he really did it. He really did put positive energy. And when he put that necklace on, he was like, wow, I really feel it, Mom. I mean, this is from a kid who told me I was full of crap for saying I feel energy, and people are going to think I'm weird and no one's going to like me. And this is probably why I'm not going to have any friends in my life. And in my old age, he's going to really worry about me. I mean, this is like stuff, real concerns he had like 3 years ago in Lima. He was telling me this stuff. And now he sees sees it from my angle, and he's like, wow, I'm starting to see things flying around our house. I think there's fairies in here. I'm like, oh yeah, just wait. It's coming. More and more of it's coming. You're going to see angels. There's an angel that hangs out in our living room, and I've seen its wings appear like in a flash of a second, and then it's gone. I don't know, guys. Life is getting stranger and stranger, and more of us are waking up. More of us are seeing more stuff. And I like, frankly, it's cool. I'm glad I'm not alone anymore. Like, I can actually tell people this without being called crazy or burned at the stake or, jailed or put in an asylum. No one has like shunned me. Some people have, but those are people that would have wasted my time in arguments and, angry talk about how I'm not this and I'm not that, and not living up to their expectations of the little tiny box I'm supposed to fit in. Who's doing this to you guys? You don't really need to hang out with people, even if they're your own brother or sister or cousin or neighbor. If people are putting you down for your beliefs, A, don't cast your pearls before swine. Don't forget that. And B, you got to love them, but you don't have to have them in your house for dinner. Seriously, when Jesus came to me, I was really angry at George Bush right after the war started. W. When W started that war, after the Twin Tower fiasco, I was angry at him. I'd go to sleep angry. I'd wake up angry. I couldn't stop being angry. And just like when he came to me for the Course in Miracles book to tell me that was available, Brother Yeshua came to me and he said, I was asleep and then I started to wake up, and I was in that twilight phase, and I had like a kind of like a vision, and I felt someone sitting on my feet again at that time as well. And he said, little sister, why do you allow strangers you've never met to rob you of your peace? I'll never forget that. I'm like, oh yeah. And he said, you have to love everybody as God loves everybody. You have to learn to love everybody. I'm like, oh, I'm not loving him. Oh, no. I'm going to love everyone in the world except him. Maybe except Charles Manson. He's not all that lovable. And Jesus said, but God loves everybody. No matter what acts they've committed, he loves everybody. He created everybody for this world. He loves everybody. And you're going against God if you don't love everybody. Or with them. And those are not my words. Those are like directly from Jesus. He said, it doesn't mean you have to have them over for dinner. You don't have to be their friend or hang out with them, but you do need to love them because they are a part of you and their humanity. You have to understand, the people are not the actions they commit. And even if the people themselves are evil to the core, beyond who they are here with their minds, they are big, bright, beautiful white souls, no matter what, and they are a part of us. We have a shadow side. They are our shadow side. So, all right, guys, I am going to take a quick break. And when I come back, I'm going to do something I've never done on the show. I am going to ask the universe some questions and in real time get the answers with my dowsing pendulum. I'm going to ask about twin flames. I'm going to ask about the Ascension. I'm going to ask about time frames of when things are going to happen and see if I get a result or not. A yes or a no, and I'm going to explain what's happening while it's happening. And then I'm going to just see what I could see about what's going on from a pendulum perspective instead of tarot this time. How's that? So you're going to want to stick around for this, but when I take my break, remember, just let it play out. Go take a a quick run to the bathroom, or grab your sweetheart and lay a big smooch on them, or maybe make yourself a cup of hot chocolate or green tea. Whatever you guys do, I don't know. I love each and every one of you, and I'll be right back after this message. If you're listening to this, you obviously like podcasts, and you probably like music too. Long walks on the beach, romantic dancing under the stars, and oh wait, we're not doing that right now. On Spotify, you can listen to all of that in one place for free, and you don't even need a premium account, which is cool. Free is always good. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, including your long romantic walks on the beach. Also, one thing I love about Spotify is that you can easily share what you're listening to with your friends via Spotify's integrations with the social platforms like Instagram. So that makes it really, really versatile. Just search for Metaphysical Soul Speak on the Spotify app, or browse podcasts in the Your Library tab. And follow me, of course, don't forget, so that you'll never again miss an episode of Metaphysical Soul Speak. Spotify is the world's leading music streaming service, and now it can be your go-to for podcasts too. Thank you guys so much for supporting Metaphysical Soul Speak on Spotify. All right, guys, so I forgot to read Lesson 9 of A Course in Miracles, and this does help me to center myself a little bit and get right energy-wise in case I wasn't. So, Lesson 9 is at least the first sentence of it. You guys have to look it up and do the work on your own. It says, I see nothing as it is now. And then later, the practice for the day is, I do not see this typewriter as it is now. I do not see this telephone as it is now. I do not see this arm as it is now. And on and on. So this will help you unravel your seeming connection to the outer world when you realize your inner world is what is more real, more connected to divine. Less the matrix inside you than outside you. And speaking of the matrix, all right, I have written down 21 questions since the break. Oh my gosh, the miracle of pre-recorded radio. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start asking questions, but how I do this is hold on, I'm going to move some things over here. How I do this is I make my mind a blank canvas, even though you all know what I'm hoping. You are the same as me, I'm sure. When I ask these questions out loud, you'd be like, oh, I hope it's this, I hope it's this, I hope it's this. Probably a good thing I'm pre-recording it and I'm not picking up on all of your guys' energy, because then we might get a false reading. But it's better if I make my mind a blank slate. And I have two pendulums on one string, and one is the one that I use for personal questions, romance. Usually, I ask questions about people I might be interested in romantically. more often than not, I ask questions about my twin flame and when he's going to get his cute butt into my life. Or I ask what he's doing now. I'll feel a feeling of something, and then I'll ask his higher self using the pendulum if I was right about my hunch about what he's doing. Sometimes I'll think he's drunk, and then I'll ask, hey, is my twin flame drinking alcohol right now? Or sometimes I'll feel that he's alone and sad, so I'll ask if he's with people. Those kind of questions. It's comforting to me on the days in which my intuition and what the pendulum says is correct. It's hard when you start to learn the pendulum because it's so easy for your subconscious, even your conscious mind, to go, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. Give me a yes, give me a yes. And oh my God, it's a yes. Who knew? So it takes a lot of years of practice. Not even years. It takes a few weeks of practice to make sure that you can make your mind a complete blank slate. You don't have any connection to the outcome, either yes or no. You will accept the truth above all things. The truth is more important than your hopeful wishes and your childish dreams inside your subconscious mind, Ooh, it's a yes every time. Oh my God, I'm going to win $1 million next week. Oh, I'm going to win the lottery. Oh my God. I'm going to go on The Price is Right and I'm going to win the showcase. Yeah, it's not how it works. If you get a lot of false positives, and then you're not going to believe in yourself or the process. So dowsing takes time, and it takes practice, and it takes patience, and you have to be 100% committed to that blank slate mind and accepting the truth, even if it's a beast. Even if it's not the beauty you're hoping for. If it's a beast, it's like, oh, well, damn it. All right, fine. I'll pay that bill. Or, all right, fine. I'll keep going to work. I won't stop my job. I won't quit. I'm probably not going to win that damn lottery next week. I might as well not play. If you have the extra disposable income, then it's okay. Play lottery once in a great while. But if you guys ever saw the TV show Reaper, which, oh my God, one of the funniest shows in the whole wide world. It's about a 21-year-old who on his 21st birthday realizes his parents sold his soul to the devil, and he has to start working for the devil, reaping souls that have escaped hell on his 21st birthday. And the devil keeps showing up in his life and is completely chaotic and hilarious. And the guy that plays the devil is he's so perfect actor for the job. And the guy who plays the 21-year-old Sam he's amazing. But I love that show so much. But the devil on the show brings Sam to a line in which people are lined up around the block to buy a lottery ticket because the lottery is so high. And he's like, why did you bring me here? And he goes, I just wanted to show you something that I invented. And he's like, what do you mean you invented this? You invent the lottery. You're a liar. You're the devil. Devil always lies. Psst, whatever. And he's like, no, really. We invented it so that fools can part faster with their money on payday. We call it the idiot tax in hell. Anyway, that's the way I remember the conversations. Probably not at all the way the dialogue went, but it's pretty much the gist of it. And ever since I heard that, I'm like, I don't think I want to play the lottery anymore. Idiot tax. But I'm going to ask today about some financial things that a lot of you have been also wondering about. And I'm going to ask about some investment related things. And also about basic income, because let's face it, that would be a huge godsend Literally, God talked about basic income in Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. It's one of the first conversations they had. I think is either in book 1 or book 2. I've read all 3. I can't remember. I'm on the 4th book now. It was like 5 or 6 or 7 by now. But God came up with this. Like, if everybody just made a basic income, just a few $1,000s a month, $2,000 or $3,000. I think in the book, because it's a long time ago, he said $2,000 a month. And if everyone had that amount of money, we would all be so much better off. Then we would work because we have the joy of working. If we have the joy of working, we're not going to quit our job. We're not there because we need the money. We're there because we enjoy the work. We enjoy serving. We enjoy, meeting people and doing whatever it is that we do. I don't know what you guys do. I know what I do. I sit in my room by myself and talk to my phone. That's my work. But, I don't know. I mean, God came up with this idea, and I don't know if the idea was around before that, or if Neale Donald Walsch had that in his subconscious mind, and it wasn't truly a conversation with God. But when I read the description of that, I thought, that's brilliant. Obviously, God is brilliant, and I don't know where the money's going to come from or what's going to happen, but I have a feeling it's coming down the line. But we're going to ask not just anybody. We're not going to ask my higher self, because my higher self, I don't know, what my higher self knows compared to God. And I'm going to ask the God, the creator of all life in all universes. I'm going to connect to the big guy and I'm going to ask him and have my own conversation with God. And this is how we're going to do it. This is how we do it. I keep having all these weird musical references pop into my head while I'm doing the show the past 2-3 days. You noticed? How weird is that? Anyway. All right, here we go. The first thing is, and my secondary pendulum, I did mention the first I use only for romance and personal questions about me. Usually it's related to my twin or whatever. My other pendulum I use to ask questions about other people and other circumstances, things about the world. And this is the one I use to sometimes connect with other higher selves of other people, but the energy of the higher self or whatever is in me, and then I connect or disconnect when it's over. So it's not, the energy isn't in the pendulum itself. And because I have trained my subconscious mind, I'm going to put this down my phone. Okay. I've trained my subconscious mind to, oops, sorry about that. I slid the phone. I realized it's probably be loud for you guys. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so I trained my subconscious mind to only accept the truth and only accept the energy, not from me, but from the person I connected to, if it's someone's higher self. Usually, though, I connect with God about these things. So, you can take a deep breath. Or 3. I would like to be connected with the central sun God, the one God, the creator of all life and all universes. I'd like to be connected with the one who created me, everybody listening to this podcast, as well as everything that we see in existence. The God that created all the dimensions, all the worlds, everything in all directions of all time and all space. When I'm connected with you, God, please tell me yes or no. All right, guys, I am getting a yes reading. Are you ready to answer questions for me? I am getting a maybe reading. All right, God, I would like to ask you a series of questions. Do I have permission? Okay, great. Now I'm getting ready again. My first question, God, is How many people in a percentage were born on Earth in this time as twin flames? I'm going to move my phone again because I've got two charts here. And I'm doing the dowsing over these round charts. I'm going to take a picture. It may or may not make any sense to you guys when you see it on Instagram and my Twitter. All right, so here we go. Again, my question is, God, how many people in percentage wise, from a 1 to 100%, how many people on Earth right now were born on Earth in this time as twin flames incarnate? Do I have permission to ask these questions? I'm getting a yes. All right. On a scale of 1 to 100%, how many people on the planet right now? Wow. All right, guys. I'm getting about a 49%. 48. Okay, God, do I have permission to ask if that's a 48%? Okay, great. Is that 48%? No. Was that a 47%? Yes. All right, so 47% of the people on Earth right now were born in this time as twin flames incarnate, where they're both incarnate? No. Or okay, let me ask that again. So God, am I to believe that 47% of all people on the planet right now, in this time, 47% of all people in this time were born on Earth as twin flames? Is that correct? Okay, now I am getting a yes reading. All right, I think I was getting a little confused in the way I was asking. That's another thing. When you dowse, you have to ask correctly. So 47% of all people on Earth right now are incarnate, both twins, male and female, or masculine, feminine, regardless of gender, are incarnate right now as twin flames on Earth. Right now, 47%. Okay, I'm writing that down. That's like interesting, right? 47%. Okay. All right, God, thank you for that for answering that question. Now, my next question is this. Percentage-wise, how many twin flames have been reunited physically already? So out of that 47%, how many have already reunited physically? All right, I'm getting a reading. It's looking kind of like 30% of those. Am I correct in believing that? Is it more than 30%? No. Is it less than 30%? Yes. Is it 29%? No. Is it less than 29%? Okay, let me ask that again. Okay, God, God of the Son, the center of the whole universe, the one true God. I am, by the way, asking right now that you please eliminate answers that will come from my subconscious mind, or any answers that would come from anybody else that's trying to influence the pendulum right now. Are we clear on that? Okay, we're ready to ask the question again. Okay. Are more than 25% of twin flames on the planet together right now? I'm getting a yes. What is the percentage of twin flames that are incarnate on Earth right now? What is the percentage of twin flames that are together right now in body? Is that more than 30%? I'm getting a yes. Is that more than... okay, actually, let's use the scale of... So it's more than 30, and now we have around the circle 1 through 12, like a clock face. Can you tell me 30 what percent are of all the twin flames incarnate together? Okay, so that looks like 34%. Great, that makes it so much easier. So 34% of all twin flames on the planet right now are together right now. Is that true? Yes, I'm getting a yes. So 34%. So 34%, guys, of all the twin flames that were incarnate together on the planet are together, which means, my God, there's a whopping, 46% that are not, right? Math. Oh my God, my bane. Math. Okay. Let me see. All right, now, God, this is a question I'm very interested in asking. He's saying ready, it's pointing ready. What percentage of all twin flames that are incarnate on Earth together right now have decided on some level, one level or another, not to reunite at all physically at this point? What is the percentage? That looks like it's maybe 15%. Am I correct on this? Okay. And is it more than 15%? No. Is it less than 15%? Yes. Okay, again, let's use, we have the 10 part. So let's figure out between 1 and 5. What is it 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14%? Will not physically reunite all twin flames. Okay, so it looks like 14 again. Okay, so 14% are not going to reunite, even though they had initially decided. So 14%. So that is 48%. So 48% have either decided to reunite or not reunite, and then that means it's 52% have not yet reunited. God, am I correct in this assumption? Okay, according to this anyway. Can you please tell me how many people have yet to reunite as far as the twin flames only go? And again, I'm getting a reading of around 51.5. No, it's going up a little bit. Okay, it's 50 what percent now? Yeah, it's going to like about 52. Is that 52 directly? All right, so it's like 52%. So 52% have still not gotten together. That's actually kind of helpful for me. I mean, before, what did we say? It was like a roughly a third were not yet together, I think, when I asked God. And I think that God that I asked was the one of this world only. Gets pretty confusing. The main God. Oh, God. Okay, I have another question for you. Are you ready? Okay, we're going to the ready. Now, when I talk about the percentages, you know that I mean on Earth only, correct? Okay. That I do not mean twin flames in other galaxies, other worlds, other dimensions, right? You know that that's what I mean? Yes. Okay, good. Beautiful. All right. Sorry about that, guys, if that was confusing for you. Boom, 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 boom. Oh. By what year, in number of years, will there be all of the twin flames that plan to reunite be reunited? Do I have permission to ask this question? I'm getting a yes. How many years? I'm going to go on a scale from 1 to 12, like a clock face now. Is it going to be more than 12 years for everyone to reunite twin flames? The answer is no. All right, good. So how many years will it be before the 52% of twin flames that are not reunited are reunited together? How many years is that going to take? For everybody, all the twins to come. All right. Now, is that more than 10 years? No. Is that 10 years? So 10 years, guys. So some of our twin flames might be stubborn. We might be the stubborn ones. So we're not going to judge. Like 10 years. Okay. All right. Interesting. I thought it was going to be 2 or 3. So, goes to show me, I guess. All right, God, I'd like to ask you a question. How many years is it going to take for us to fully integrate into the fifth dimension? All of us that are ascending. Is it going to be more than, do I have permission to ask this question? Yes, okay. Will it be more than 12 years? No. Will it be less than 12 years? Yes. How many years, God, will it be for those of us who are ascending to ascend and fully integrate into the fifth dimension? How many years from today? Ooh, I'm getting a clear 3 years. Oh my God, does that feel better? Oh my God. Okay, here. 3 years. Yay, I'm writing it down. I'm going to reference this, next time I think about this stuff. I'm going to go, wait, what did that say again? All right, God, ready for another question? Okay. It said yes, and now the pendulum says ready or maybe. Ready. All right. How many years will it take to fully integrate into our crystalline body form for all of us? Oh, wow. Okay, so that's 2 years. Michelle, your twin flame is correct. Yay, guys, I'm so excited. We're all going to be hotsy-totsy in 2 years. Perfect bodies, perfect minds, crystalline form, no more ascension symptoms. Is that true, God? In 2 years, we're going to have no more ascension symptoms. Beautiful. All right. The next question. How many % of people on the planet right now will wake up and ascend? Do I have permission to ask this question? Beautiful. How many people on the planet right now, what percentage on a scale of 1 to 100%, how many of the percentage of people on the planet will wake up and decide to ascend? Oh, this is super good news. All right, am I to assume that you mean 90%? Yes. Beautiful. And out of the 90, and is it more than 90%? No. Is it less than 90%? No. So 90% of the people right on the nose of all people living on the planet right now, and the pendulum is going wild, folks. Oh my God. It's like hopping and going in a really powerful, intense yes, yes, yes. So all 90% of people are going to ascend. That's cool. I have another quick question before we move on to the questions I've written down. Is this okay? Great. Are you ready? Yes. It said yes and then said ready. All right, God, I have a question. Can these numbers fluctuate and change? The answer, of course, is yes. Is it possible we will hop timelines where the answers will change? No. So these answers that you're giving me are pretty much across the board, regardless of time, space, and dimension right now. The answer is yes, and it's going crazy. So yes, yes, yes. All right. Next question. How many people, we'll just use 1 to 12 for the percentage, even though we're using the clock face numbers. We're going to say it's 1 to 12% because it's easier that way. If I'm going to say, how many people will wake, excuse me. Wrong one, scratch that. You guys ready? All right, there we go. God, you ready? All right. How many people, percentage-wise, will be moved off the planet because they're going to refuse to wake up and they're just going to be moved to another planet as far as just, that's it. They don't even know what's happening. That's like 8%. Wow, it's going to be a pretty small planet to move to, right? So is that really 8%? So 8% of the people will be moved. That's interesting, yeah? And just for clarification, how many people will die on the planet as far as percentage-wise? How many people are going to die instead of be moved? or move up to the fifth dimension. Oh, wait, do I have permission to ask this question? And you're ready? Okay, great. What percentage of people on the planet right now, God, will actually, I'm asking this of God, what percentage of people will die before people are ascended or moved? Is that like 2%? Is it a little bit more than 2%? Is it on the nose 2%? All right, so that's cool. That adds up, right? Okay, 2%. All right, I'm going to ask you a question real quick. Did I influence that number with my subconscious mind? I'm getting a no. Was that the true answer? So 2% of the population are going to die. Not as bad as I thought before. Did the light workers and the positive people that are ascending, did they actually change that number with their minds? I'm getting a yes. Did we change that number with our prayers? I'm getting a big yes. All right. This is a fun question. Okay, yes. And are we ready? Yes. Okay, God, will we get basic income in we'll say the next 10 years. Is that okay to say? Is it okay for me to ask this question? Yes. Yes. Great. Are we ready? Okay, God, I'd like to ask a question. Will we get basic income in the next 5 years on this planet? The answer I'm seeing is yes. Will that basic income that everyone gets on the planet be more, will it be more than 5 years? The answer is no. Will everybody on the planet have some sort of a basic income within the next 5 years? The answer is yes. And will it be do I have permission to ask what year? The answer is no. I do not have permission. Are we ready? Beautiful. And on a scale of 1 to 12, we're going to ask how many thousands of dollars in United States dollar currency, so we all have a handle on how much that will be for each of us, regardless of country or whatever we live in. Do I have permission to ask how much it's going to be on average? So out of all the people in the world, everyone's going to get basic income? Does this include children and minors? The answer is no. Will families get more income if they have more kids or kids? Yes. I'm getting the answer yes. So let's just say the basic average adult, we're not going to talk about kids and that, but we know that they're going to get more. What is the basic income going to be on average in US dollars for each individual adult, roughly? You guys, I'm closing my eyes on this because I don't want to influence it based on what I've heard. All right, now we're getting a really strange reading. It's going around in a circle, and it's a yes. It's a clockwise circle. Not exactly what I asked. Okay, God, do I have permission to ask how much money we'll get? All right. God, can you please tell me how much money we'll get as far as basic income in the form of US dollars, even if we don't get it? You understand what I'm talking about? Okay, great. You have to know how not to be unclear in your question asking. And sometimes I am a little bit unclear, so I have to recalibrate my questions. All right, guys, here we go. I had a shift. I hope you guys didn't hear my hip crack. If you heard that weird, sound, it was my hip. All right. All right, God, do I have permission to ask this question? Great. How much money in thousands of dollars are we going to be able to get in USD form? Is that a number coming out of is that a number coming out of my subconscious mind? Is that what it's really truly going to be? All right, I'm going to close my eyes. Is it okay if I close my eyes before I say the number? Okay, that's what I've heard before, but I want to make sure. Okay. In terms of thousands of dollars, using the face where 12 will be 12,000, 1 will be 1,000, and all the numbers around the clock face. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. So in terms of thousands of dollars, how many thousands of dollars, 1,000, 2,000, 3, etc. How many thousands of dollars will we get in as far as basic income? All right, guys, it's $4,000. I mean, that's what I heard before, and I'm hoping we're on that timeline that happens for us, because that's freaking cool. I'm writing $4,000 down. This is how much I asked. Now, I did ask this question. I'm going to ask it again. How many years, based on our current timeline, will it be before we have basic income? Do I have permission to ask this question? How many years will it be before, roughly? We're not going to hold you to it if it's like 4 or 5 months, because humans are stubborn, in either direction or whatever. But how many years do I have permission to ask how many years could be before we have basic income? On the clock face by years, 1, 2, 3, etc. How many years is it going to be before we get basic income? All right. Is that 11? No. Is that 5? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. 5 years, guys. 5 years to wait. So, 5 years. I'm writing that down. Now, how many of us on percentage do I have permission to ask? Okay, on a scale of 1% all the way to 100%. Out of all of those of us that are fully ascending to the 5D, the 90% of us that are going up, 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 out of this percentage, how many of us, percentage-wise, are on our final timeline before fully integrating into 5D right now? Do I have permission to ask this question? Is this a valid question? Because I don't always understand how time and space and dimensionality works yet. So, yeah, I'm getting yes. Okay, so how many of us, percentage-wise, are on our final timeline right in this now moment? How many of us are, I'm going to ask again, because how many of us, percentage-wise, are on our final timeline before we fully start integrating into the fifth dimension? Do any of us have to go to, 100%, guys. We're it. This is it. June. Told you. God, that's so cool. If you guys could verify this for me, see what you guys get if you are also pendulum dowsers, or you dowse with L rods, or whatever it is that you get. I mean, it would be nice to check the numbers against other people's questioning. If you know you're clear and you have a blank slate mind. I try my best, but obviously there's always a little bit of user error it's possible. I already asked this question. What will be the amount of money in US dollars of the average? That was $4,000. $4,000. God, that would be so great. $4,000 is more than I've made in the last 10 years per month. So that would be a huge relief, and not a whole lot. I mean, it won't be like where we're all going to be super rich and, just sipping drinks on the beach, but it would be enough for us to live, basic lives, and then whatever we add to that, we're going to feel great, right? So, all right, this is a fun question. You ready, God? Yes, and we're ready. Are we all on the timeline in which we are going to have one world government in the fifth dimension? Do I have permission to ask this question? Yes. Are we currently on the timeline in which we will have one world government in the fifth dimension? Are we on that timeline right now? No. Will we ever hop to that timeline that will have one world government? No. Is there going to be a one world government on this timeline? Will there be a one world government in the fifth dimension? No. That's awesome. All right. Are you ready, God, for the next question? Beautiful. Will time travel exist physically with time travel machines for us? Do I have permission to ask this question? The answer is yes. Are you ready? Okay, great. I'm going to ask it again now. Will time travel exist physically for us? And will that be with time travel machines that we use to time travel, basically? Oh, okay. Let me ask it again. Maybe I was unclear. I got a big yes. Let me ask it again, God. This is for you to answer and no one else, and not for my subconscious mind. I want the truth and the whole truth. Nothing but the truth. Are we on the timeline? I'm sorry. That was a wrong question. So sorry. Scratch that. Will time travel exist physically with time travel machines for us soon? All right. Let me ask that again. Maybe I was unclear. God, only God, answer this question. Okay, you ready? All right. Will time travel exist physically? The answer is yes. Okay. With time travel machines, will time travel machines exist? The answer is yes, but then it says needs new information. Needs new information. All right, so will we be able to travel in time with machines? Needs new information. Will we be able to travel in time with our minds only? Yes. And the new information, is it because there's going to be more than one machine available? Yes. Okay, so that was what the confusion was at that one. Yes, and more information on the machines. Okay. Will people be able to stop working entirely with this basic income, or will inflation rise so that we all still need to work? That's like the basic question. So when I ask this, I have in mind the idea that inflation could exist, and inflation could force us back into a situation where we work and the basic income is only a relief for a short time and then doesn't really function after that. So do you understand kind of what the place of where I'm coming from with this? Great. Are you ready to answer the main basic question? Ready. Okay. Will we be able to stop working with basic income? The answer is yes. A huge yes. It's hopping and jumping. Beautiful. Now, is there a certain amount of years this is going to work and then not work? The answer is no. Is basic income going to work forever? The answer is yes. Freaking thank God. Okay. So, some of you out there have asked that question to me directly. I'm going to ask. All right. Here we go. Yes, you're there. Are we ready? Yes. Here is the question. Is it a good idea to invest in Bitcoin? Yes. All right. And is it a good idea to invest in other cryptocurrencies? No. Are some of the other cryptocurrencies good? Yes. We would have to ask yes. Okay, we would have to ask individually. All right, God, that's a big one. So, but is it okay for us to invest in Bitcoin? Can you tell me when it will be a good time? It's over $9,000 for one Bitcoin right now. Can you tell us, God, how low it should go before we invest? Should we invest right now? It says needs new information. Can you tell me what will be the best time on the timeline we're on right now? Like as far as the number it will be? This is like kind of crazy, right? All right. How, like, will Bitcoin ever go below 6,000? again? No. Will Bitcoin go below 7,000? No. Will Bitcoin go below 8,000? Yes. Will Bitcoin go below 7,500? No. So we're not going to wait for that. Should we wait until it goes below 7,700? No. Should we wait until Bitcoin goes below 7,800? Yes. So if Bitcoin goes below 7,800, guys, buy as much of it as you can. Even if it's $100, even if it's $1,000, you don't have to buy one whole Bitcoin. Just enough to kind of hedge your bets a little bit. Whatever you can afford to lose, though, because I can't give doctor advice or financial advice, but this is the information I'm getting from the pendulum and God. So I trust the information, but you have to take it with a grain of salt and maybe do your own research as well. Okay. All right, God, I have another question about this particular thing. Okay, can I ask any more questions about Bitcoin? The answer is no. We're ready to go on to the next one. The answer is yes. Are you ready? Answer is ready. Are pot stocks like CBD oil or marijuana investments, as far as the stock market is concerned, do I have permission to ask about this if they're wise investments? Yes. So is any marijuana, pot, or CBD thing mostly... I'm getting a yes. Okay. So is it a wise investment to invest in CBD oil products? Yes. Is it a wise investment to invest in pot stocks? Oh, this is weird. It started off with no, but now it's a giant circular yes. So cool. Is it a wise idea to invest in cannabis oil stocks? So basically anything to do with marijuana, cannabis oil, or pot. Elena says yes. Good vibes. We love drugs. I'm just kidding. It's not a drug. It's a God-created drug. Here's a fun one. Do I have permission to ask about the E.T. Space Brothers? Yeah. Cool. All right, God, you ready to answer this question? All right. Will we be able to see and meet our space brothers soon? The answer is a clockwise circle. Yes, a big, big circle. All right. Do I have permission to ask how many years it's going to be? All right. On the scale of 1 to 12, like a clock face from this circle, how many years is it going to be before our space brothers come to join us physically where we could see them and interact with them? Is that less than 5 years? Is it more than 5 years? Is it about 5.5 years? I'm getting about 5.5 years on this. 5.5 years. And the answer was yes. We'll see them. Do I have permission to ask about what they may or may not be able to do for us? Great. Are you ready to answer that question? Good. Will they be able to help solve the world's pollution problems? Yes. Okay. And will they help us solve crises of water? Will the extraterrestrial space brothers help us solve crisis of water? Not having enough water to drink. Potable water. All right. Yes. And will our extraterrestrial space brothers help us solve the crises of food scarcity around the world? Do I have permission to ask this? You ready to answer the question? Beautiful. Will the ETs help us solve the crisis of food scarcity around the world? I'm kind of getting a maybe on this. And there might mean, it may be like if they solve our water crisis, then let me ask about the water crisis again. Will the extraterrestrial space brothers help us solve the water crisis? And maybe once we solve the water crisis, yeah, I'm getting a yes on this. And will they help us with our pollution problems? Yes. Will they help us with our food problems? I'm still getting kind of like a no now, but also needs new information. So maybe, okay, let me ask that question. God, do I have permission to ask about food on the planet? when we're fully anchored in 5D, are we going to still have to eat all the time? I mean, not all the time, not like constantly eating. Okay, let me start this over. That was a really bad question. Badly phrased. Sorry about that, guys. God, will we still have to eat food in the 5th dimension? Will we eat less food in the 5th dimension? Yes, we're going to still eat. We're going to eat less food than we normally do. I mean, unless we want to, probably. That's probably a needs new information. Will the extraterrestrials help us solve the not everyone having food crisis? But will that also be solved by the basic income? Oh, okay. I see. That's why that would be a no. Having basic income is going to help everybody have enough money to, of course, grow their own food. All right. Well, that was it. I had 21 questions to ask God about living life the way we do. I don't know, guys. If you want to ask the same questions, I would be more than happy to hear what your answers are on these questions, if you get the same ones. I mean, again, I could be influencing it. Maybe I didn't word the questions correctly. Take everything with a grain of salt. Use your discernment. If you felt in your heart or your gut or your mind or your throat, if you felt anywhere in your body kind of like it didn't feel good when I answered yes or no, maybe I didn't get it right. I mean, I know I got the reading right, but maybe I didn't phrase a question right, if you understand what I mean there. You know, it's possible. I have been doing dowsing for a very long time, for about 15 years, maybe longer. And actually longer, since my oldest was maybe about 4, maybe even less. So, yeah, like 15 to 20 years I've been doing this, maybe 16, 17 years. So, I've been doing it for a long time. Sometimes I'll get a yes on something and I know for sure it's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. So what happens when something doesn't happen? It could be that I got a false positive. It could be that I hopped a timeline, or that I made a decision that would make me not get the thing I thought I was going to get, or the thing that I thought would happen. Or sometimes when it involves decision-making processes of other human beings, you A, can't control them, and B, can't predict them. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Divination of the future is always sketchy, and it's not 100%. And if we all think, yeah, it's going to happen, or if we go, well, I doubt that's going to happen, that can also affect the outcome. So you have the answers of what I got, but again, don't hold me to it. Don't burn me at the stake if it doesn't happen, because I can't control all the other people in the world. I know if it was me, we would all have basic income tomorrow. I know if it was me, up to me, I don't know. I think all the twin flames, well, I would say, you know what, just let them reunite when they're ready. You know, if you force anything, you force a river, you're just going to drown. You know, you can't stand in a river and push it back with your hands. You can't stop something that's not meant, you know, you can't stop something that's meant to be, and you can't start something that's not meant to be yet. You know, so I'm trying to say, you can't put the cart before the horse. Not whores. Horse. Oh, God, that was fun. That was funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably going to invest in Bitcoin and pot stocks, but not all of my money, not all of it, but maybe 10%, maybe 15 to 20% of what I have, which isn't very much, to be honest with you. I just want a teeny tiny start, like a nest egg, something I know I'm going to have to carry me over until we get our, you know, basic income, if that happens. there was so many governments saying, yes, it's going to happen. We're so excited. And then all of a sudden lately, there's been a backlash against it. People go, we don't see where the money's going to come from. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think we ought to ignore the backlash and just all keep imagining it and praying for it, because I feel that it's going to be a huge amount of good in the world. People that make millions of dollars a year, they're not going to need the $4,000 extra. They'll probably just donate it to charity every month. It's pretty cool, to think that people would do that. There are people in the world that give 90% of their income away, and they're still millionaires. I have heard these stories, and it really inspires me. That would be amazing. I've had people tell me, don't get rich. Oh, don't worry about getting rich. Money isn't everything. It's like, yeah, but you're like donating, what, $5 a month? If I was a millionaire, I could donate $10,000 a month, or $20,000 or $30,000 a month. I could save 200 villages in Africa every single month if I could give away, the right amount of money, $50,000 a month or whatever. So don't ever hold yourself back thinking, well, if I get more money, then someone else will have less. It's not true. Because if you get more money and you have excess, you're going to help people if you're a good person. Money just makes you more of what you are. If you're an asshole, you'll become a bigger asshole. If you're a really wonderful person, you're going to become the best person you ever could possibly imagine you to be. That's just the way it is. It's my 2 cents. Money. I did not mean that pun, but anyway, I love each and every one of you. That's all I've got to say about that. My throat is starting to get a little raw because I've been talking so much. But yeah, there it is. I hope this gave you guys some hope. It gave me some hope for sure. I'm shocked at some of these numbers, particularly with the twin flame situation. And that there's hardly anyone going to die. We're mostly all going to ascend. So that's freaking awesome. Anyway, we are already way past. Now this is an extra long episode again. I already went 20 minutes over where I thought I was going to be. But you know what? Hey, if you guys like the show, you're going to stick with it, right? I love each and every one of you, as I've already mentioned. Thank you for being my listener and sharing the podcast, liking, subscribing, downloading to hear it for future use. Spotify or Stitcher, there's some really good ones out there that will help you do that. 2 weeks from now, I'm hoping I could start working on making Metaphysical Soul Speak an app. That way, you could just boom, 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 always have that at your side. You don't have to go searching for it anymore. We're going to try to get it done. All right. And let me know if that's going to be helpful for you. If you think it's not going to make that much of a difference. And for me, I still have like Castbox I use. I like listening to all my different podcasts, but I'm still thinking about like the Sri Kira app. I might get theirs because I like their stuff. I don't want to miss a single episode of their stuff either. So I know how it is. So let me know if you guys think it's a good idea or not. I'm going to work on it because I know a certain amount of people will definitely want it. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.